First contact's shadow. The signal came through at 3:47 hours, a faint pulse that barely registered on Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Array. Located in Antarctica's isolation, the station had been built to detect even the faintest whispers from the stars. Dr. Maya Patel was alone on the night shift when the pattern emerged. Not random noise, but a structured sequence repeating with mathematical precision. "Control, this is Station 7, she said, voice steady despite her racing heart. "I'm tracking an artificial signal from the Cygnus arm. Definitely not natural." Within hours, the transmission had been isolated and verified by 3 other listening posts. It wasn't just a signal, it was a message, the first confirmed contact from beyond our solar system. By sunrise, the United Earth Defense Council had convened an emergency session. Commander Elena Reyes stood before the assembled leaders, her dark eyes reflecting the gravity of the moment. At 42, she had become humanity's foremost expert on theoretical xenocommunication after 2 decades with the UETC. "The signal contains compressed data packets," she explained, bringing up a holographic display. "We've managed to decode approximately 60% of the transmission. It's a distress call from a species that identifies as the Luminary." The translation appeared on screen. "Urgent. Civilization, levial threat. Require assistance. The harvesters have AFOUNDUS. Mercy, please. Coordinates follow." "They're begging for help," Admiral Chen said, leaning forward. "But from what? And why contact us? We've never even left our own solar system beyond research missions." Reyes nodded. "That's what makes this peculiar. The Luminary appear to be significantly more advanced than us. From what we can tell, they've been spacefaring for millennia. Yet they're reaching out to us, a species they likely consider primitive." The coordinates pointed to a star system 37 light-years away. The message itself was 12 years old by the time it reached Earth. Whatever had happened to the Luminary, it was already over. "We have 3 options," Reyes continued. "Ignore it, send a response, or go see for ourselves." The debate lasted 3 days. In the end, humanity's curiosity won out. The UEDC authorized the deployment of Earth's first interstellar vessel, the Prometheus. Originally designed as a colony ship for eventual missions to Proxima Centauri, it had never been meant for combat. Commander Reyes was given command, along with a crew of 200 scientists, engineers, communication specialists, and a small contingent of special forces. The mission parameters were clear: investigate, but prioritize Earth's safety above all. "We have no idea what we're flying into," Reyes told her crew during their final briefing. The Luminary were far more advanced than us, and something terrified them enough to reach out to a species they'd never contacted. "Stay alert. Trust nothing." The Prometheus departed Earth's orbit on a cold Tuesday in October, thanks to its experimental fold drive, technology that manipulated the fabric of space-time. The journey would take 14 months instead of decades. Life aboard settled into a rhythm. Lieutenant James Nakamura led daily combat training. Dr. Sofia Alvarez studied the Luminary language. Engineer Kofi Adeyemi kept the fold drive stable as they slipped through the darkness between stars. "I wonder what they look like," Nakamura said one evening in the mess hall. "These Luminary? Probably nothing we've imagined," Reyes replied. "But I'm more concerned with what scared them." When the Prometheus finally emerged near the Luminary home system, the crew fell silent at what the sensors revealed. A once thriving civilization reduced to ruins. 7 planets, all showing signs of massive orbital bombardment. And a strange emptiness in the readings. No radio signals, no light pollution, no energy signatures. "It's like the entire system is dead," whispered Alvarez, staring at the data. "But there's something else. Something wrong." Reyes felt it too, a peculiar absence that went beyond silence. The star itself seemed dimmer somehow, as if something was feeding on its light. They approached the 3rd planet cautiously. Once a gleaming world of sprawling cities, it now lay devastated. Orbital scans revealed structures unlike anything humans had designed, curved crystalline architecture that seemed to flow like frozen liquid. But many of the structures were shattered, as if something had torn through them with unimaginable force. "I'm detecting a weak energy signature," reported Adayemi, coming from what appears to be an underground facility near the equator. Rise assembled a landing team. The Prometheus deployed a shuttle, which descended through the turbulent atmosphere. The planet's surface was scarred with massive impact craters and strange, geometrically perfect excavations, as if something had been systematically mining the world. The landing site was a partially collapsed dome structure. Inside, the air was thin but breathable. The architecture was disorienting. Spaces that seemed to fold in on themselves, surfaces that shimmered with embedded technology. "Movement ahead," warned Lieutenant Nakamura, raising his weapon. 70 meters. They advanced slowly, lights illuminating the alien corridors. When the first luminary appeared, no one was prepared for what they saw. The alien stood nearly 3 meters tall, with a translucent, crystalline body that pulsed with inner light. It had no eyes, yet seemed to sense them perfectly. When it spoke, its entire form resonated, creating sounds that the team's translators struggled to process. "You came," the luminary said finally, its translated voice filled with something like wonder. "You actually came. After all this time." More luminary appeared, perhaps 30 in total. They moved with grace despite their size, their bodies refracting light in hypnotic patterns. "I am Commander Elena Reyes of Earth," she said, lowering her weapon. "We received your distress signal." The lead luminary dimmed slightly. "I am Sentinel Thelxeri. We are all that remain of our people. The harvesters took everyone else." "Who are the harvesters?" asked Reyes. The luminary gathered closer, their light pulsing in what seemed like fear. "They came from between stars," Thelxeri explained. "Not physical as you understand it. They exist in the spaces between thought. At first, we believed them to be a natural phenomenon, dark energy behaving in patterns. By the time we recognized them as sentient, it was too late." The luminary projected images into the air, massive shadow-like entities descending on planets, not destroying structures but somehow extracting something from the inhabitants. "They do not harvest resources or territory," continued Thelxeri. "They harvest consciousness. Every mind they touch becomes part of their collective. Billions of my people absorbed, not killed. Something worse, their awareness trapped within the harvester consciousness." "And your weapons couldn't stop them?" asked Nakamura. "We were foolish." The alien's light dimmed further. "Our technology was built on predictability, mathematical certainty. The harvesters adapted to every defense, countered every strategy. They learned faster than we could innovate." Reyes felt a chill. "Then why contact Earth? We're centuries behind your technology." The luminary's crystalline form pulsed with sudden intensity. "Because you are human. Throughout the galaxy, your species is unique. Your minds are chaotic, unpredictable. You create art that follows no pattern. Your strategies defy logical progression. Your emotions override calculation. You're saying they wanted our help because we're irrational?" Alvarez asked, incredulous. "Precisely," Thelxeri replied. "The harvesters cannot predict chaos. They cannot absorb what they do not understand. And humans," the alien's form brightened. "Humans are wonderfully, terrifyingly chaotic." "How many survived?" asked Reyes. "From our civilization of 22 billion, we are fewer than 2,000. And the harvesters are still coming. They will find this sanctuary soon. When they do, the last of us will join the collective." Reyes studied the alien, then looked at her team. "The harvesters, can they be defeated?" "We begged for mercy," Thelxeri said, its light flickering with what might have been shame. "They have no concept of it. But perhaps they can be fought. Not with our methods, but with yours." A low rumble shook the structure. The luminary's light pulsed in patterns of alarm. "They found us," whispered Thelxeri. "The harvesters have returned to finish what they started." Reyes activated her comm. "Prometheus, this is Commander Reyes. We need immediate extraction and battle stations. It seems we've arrived just in time for a fight." As they rushed back toward the shuttle, Reyes caught Thelxeri's final words. "We called for mercy, human. But perhaps what was needed all along was something else entirely. Your species' remarkable capacity for defiance." Above the planet, the stars seemed to bend and distort as massive shapes emerged from folded space. The harvesters had arrived, and humanity was about to face its first interstellar war. Humanity unleashed. The Prometheus hung in orbit, its sensors struggling to track the harvesters. They weren't ships in any conventional sense, more like ripples in spacetime, distortions that bent light around them. They moved with eerie coordination, surrounding the planet in a geometric pattern. "What the hell are those things?" Admiral Chen asked over the quantum comms link from Earth. The transmission delay was substantial, but the UEDC had established a connection through experimental technology. "The luminary called them void harvesters," Reyes replied, watching the tactical display. "They're some form of consciousness-based entity. They don't destroy civilizations, they absorb them." On the bridge of the Prometheus, Science Officer Alvarez was analyzing the sensor data. "Commander, these entities are emitting patterns similar to neural activity, but on a massive scale. It's as if they're thinking collectively." The surviving luminary had been brought aboard the Prometheus, their crystalline forms casting prismatic light across the ship's corridors. Thelxeri stood beside Reyes on the bridge, its form dimming in what humans had learned was fear. "They are coordinating," the alien confirmed, "preparing to descend. When they reach the surface, they will begin the final harvest. They will take what remains of our people, then move on to the next system, and eventually to Earth," Reyes said grimly. Lieutenant Nakamura studied the tactical display. "Our weapons aren't designed for whatever those things are. Conventional fire might pass right through them." "The luminary had quantum disruptors and gravitational lenses," Thelxeri said. "Nothing worked. The harvesters adapted too quickly." Reyes paced the bridge, her mind racing. "You said they struggled with unpredictability, with chaos. That's why you contacted Earth." "Yes." The alien's form brightened slightly. "Your species' neural patterns are unique. Where most sentient species evolve toward order and predictability, humans embrace contradiction. Your minds create chaotic patterns that the harvesters cannot easily absorb." Engineer Adeyemi looked up from his console. "Commander, what if we weaponize that chaos?" "Explain," Reyes said. "The fold drive operates by creating controlled quantum uncertainty," Adeyemi said. "It's essentially organized chaos. What if we modified it to broadcast human thought patterns? Not ordered signals, but the raw, contradictory mess of human consciousness." Dr. Alvarez nodded slowly. "It could work. We could use the ship's neural interfaces to capture our crew's thought patterns and amplify them." "You want to broadcast our thoughts as a weapon?" Nakamura looked skeptical. "Not just any thoughts," Reyes said, understanding forming. "Our most chaotic, contradictory thoughts. Art, music, dreams, jokes, paradoxes." She turned to Thelxeri. "You said the harvesters consume consciousness by understanding and predicting it. Let's give them something they can't digest." The luminary's form pulsed with renewed light. "It is possible. Unprecedented, but possible." For the next 6 hours, the crew of the Prometheus worked feverishly. The ship's neural interfaces, designed for emergency pilot override, were reproposed. Crew members took turns connecting, focusing on different aspects of human irregularity. Some recalled surrealist art. Others performed mathematical paradoxes. Musicians played discordant melodies. Poets recited contradictory verses. The harvesters continued their approach, unaware of the trap being set. They're entering the upper atmosphere, Nakamura reported. 32 distinct entities. Rise nodded to 8IME. Activate the broadcast. The modified fold drive hummed to life, its energy redirected outward instead of folding space. The neural patterns of 200 humans, their dreams, fears, hopes, and contradictions, surged through the ship's systems and erupted outward in waves of quantum uncertainty. The effect on the harvesters was immediate. The leading entities shuddered, their patterns distorting. Several seemed to collapse in on themselves, their cohesion disrupted by the cascade of unpredictable human thought. "It's working," Alvarez exclaimed. But the victory was short-lived. The remaining harvesters began to adapt, their formation shifting into new configurations. "They're learning," Thelxeri warned, "finding patterns even in your chaos." Reyes gripped the command console. "Then let's change the game. Nakamura, prepare a shuttle. We're going down there." "Down?" Nakamura looked incredulous. "Into the middle of those things." "The luminary fought with order and precision," Reyes said. "We'll fight with the opposite. Random maneuvers, contradictory tactics, breaking our own patterns." Within minutes, 3 shuttles launched from the Prometheus, each piloted by humans who had been instructed to fly as unpredictably as possible. They darted between the harvesters, broadcasting different neural patterns, switching trajectories at random intervals. From the bridge, Reyes watched as the harvesters seemed to struggle, their cohesion breaking down as they tried to anticipate the humans' next moves. "They're confused," Thelxeri said, its voice containing something like wonder. "I've never seen them confused before." Adeyemi monitored the fold drive's output. "Commander, I've got an idea. The drive can do more than broadcast. It can distort space-time itself." "You want to use it as a weapon?" Reyes asked. "Not exactly. What if we created a pocket of pure chaos? A space where causality itself becomes unpredictable." Thelxeri's form pulsed with alarm. Such a disruption could tear reality itself. "Not if we contain it," Adeyemi insisted. "A bubble of quantum uncertainty, just large enough to trap the harvesters." Reyes considered for only a moment. "Do it. Recall the shuttles first." As the human craft raced back to the Prometheus, Adeyemi reconfigured the fold drive. The ship groaned as its systems were pushed beyond design limits. "Targeting the largest concentration of harvesters," he reported. "Fire," Reyes ordered. The fold drive discharged, not with a beam or explosion, but with a subtle ripple that spread outward. Where it touched, space itself seemed to hiccup. The laws of physics bent and twisted. Cause and effect reversed. The harvesters caught in the field writhed in apparent agony. Beings that existed by imposing order on consciousness now found themselves trapped in a bubble where order was impossible. Their forms shattered, fragments dispersing into quantum foam. "It's working," Alvarez shouted. "Their neural patterns are disintegrating." The remaining harvesters retreated, pulling back from both the planet and the Prometheus. For beings that had never known defeat, the encounter with human unpredictability had proven catastrophic. "They're running," Nakamura said in disbelief. "Not running," Thelxeri corrected, its form glowing brighter than ever before. "They are afraid. They cannot comprehend your species, cannot predict you, cannot harvest you." As the harvesters vanished back into the void between stars, a stunned silence fell over the bridge. Then, one by one, the crew began to laugh, the pure, relieved laughter of survival against impossible odds. "Send a message to Earth," Reyes ordered. Tell them humanity just won its first interstellar war, and we did it by being our most human selves." In the months that followed, the survivors of the luminary civilization began to rebuild. With human assistance, they established new colonies on the outer planets of their system. Knowledge was exchanged. The luminaries advanced technology for humanity's creative unpredictability. Word spread through the stars. The species that had defeated the harvesters, the chaotic ones, the unpredictables, humanity, Other alien civilizations, those who had hidden from the harvesters for millennia, began to emerge, seeking contact with Earth. A new galactic community formed, one where humanity's unique cognitive patterns became its greatest diplomatic asset. 1 year after the battle, Commander Reyes stood beside Thelx Airy in the newly constructed memorial hall on the luminary homeworld. The crystalline structure captured starlight and transformed it into flowing patterns across the floor. "You came when we begged for mercy," Thelx Airy said. "But you brought something better." "What's that?" asked Reyes. The luminary's form pulsed with what humans had come to recognize as joy, defiance, creation, contradiction, all the things the harvesters could not comprehend. Reyes smiled, looking up at the memorial, a sculpture depicting human and luminary forms intertwined, facing the darkness together. "We're still exploring space," she said, "still making first contacts. But now when we meet new civilizations, we're not just representing Earth. We're representing all of us." "And the harvesters?" asked Thelx Airy. "No sign yet, but we're ready if they return." Reyes looked out at the stars, no longer distant points of light, but homes and allies. They learned something important that day, something the galaxy is still coming to understand. "What is that, Commander?" Reyes smiled. "Never underestimate a species that creates art just to contradict itself. Never predict a civilization that laughs at its own existence. And never, ever harvest a planet of dreamers." In the vastness of space, word continued to spread of the species that had shattered the harvesters' advance with nothing but their chaotic minds. The message rippled across the galaxy. Humanity had arrived on the cosmic stage, and nothing would ever be the same again.